Well, good afternoon. It is an honor to introduce your next speaker, Nick Adams, on behalf of the Gulf Coast Republican Women Federation. And please keep my club in your prayers, as we were just affected by Hurricane Irma, and many of us were not able to come. It was quite difficult to get here after that because of that, so please continue to pray for us. As Carrie said, I am quite fond of your next speaker. Aside from being my best friend, he's also my hero, and I really mean that. 414 days ago, Nick boarded a plane in Sydney, Australia, which 17 hours later would land in Dallas, Texas. After 4 long, torturous years, which he will tell you about, he landed in our nation and finally obtained the green card that he had to fight for. In the past, yes, that deserves an applause. He worked hard. In the past 414 days, Nick has had as great of a success story as any other person who's coming to America to fulfill their own personal American dream. Since that plane grounded, Nick has started a nonprofit organization, the Foundation for Liberty and American Greatness. Hopefully you saw our booth outside, and if not, please come by and see it. It's, in my opinion, the best booth out there, although they're all wonderful. FLAG exists to defend American ideals, values, and cultures. And it does it by going into the belly of the beast, our public school system, and teaching our children and students what exactly it means to be an American. And it works. A lot of people ask, how come an Australian came to America to teach people what it means to be an American? And quite simply, it's the best possible solution, because sometimes we don't know how good we have it, and we take that for granted. In FLAG's first year, just this past year, 4,000 students were reached at the very beginning of this nonprofit's inception, including some students that I am particularly fond of, my own classroom. I'm a high school teacher, and I don't think I'm a quite bad high school teacher at that, but when Nick came into my classroom, granted, I did like him at the time, but I had never seen someone inspire a group of kids like Nick did, and I was jealous. One 45-minute speech led to weeks of discussion in my classroom about the Constitution and American ideals. And I cannot stress to you enough, this was outside of curriculum. This is not taught in the classroom. I'm a public school teacher, and it does not exist. So this is so needed in our school system. And with your help, FLAG is about to be launched into the stratosphere. And each of your beautiful convention bags that FLAG sponsored and has the logo on in the front is FLAG's signature product, the Student's Constitution. Believe it or not, a product like this did not exist before Nick, a foreigner, came to America and created it. You're quite lucky to have this in your bag, because it has not officially been released yet. On Monday, it will be released when FLAG partners with Fox News to celebrate its launch. So you're getting a, yes. So you're getting a sneak preview of what's to come, and on Monday morning, tune into Fox and Friends, and you will see a familiar face, a couple of them, and you will have the product that America will be raving and begging for after that segment premieres. I am so proud to say that my school is adopting these constitutions as part of its American history and law curriculum. And FLAG is on track to put 50,000 constitutions in the hands of 50,000 students by December. And with your help, we can do that. And if you can come to our booth and talk to us and have some schools in mind, we would love to partner with you. And let's be honest, what type of voters do those who truly understand the Constitution and appreciate its ideals become? Republicans. But aside from birthing a nonprofit, which is now the fastest growing of its kind in 1 year, Nick has spoken to students in women's groups like yours in 32 states, which is not bad for someone who was a foreigner for 32 out of the 33 years of his life. More than I can say. And in the 241 years that America has been a country, no sitting president has ever endorsed the book of an author. Leave it to President Donald Trump to break that mold. In the past year, Donald Trump has endorsed 2 books. You can find those 2 books out at the flag booth because those 2 books belong to Nick Adams. So he's already made so much history since he's been here. 414 days. Imagine what's to come. And if you would like to read the books that the president likes of the president's favorite author, please come out and see our booth. We have a special deal going on, all 3 signed by Nick for $50. And of course, the crowning achievement that Nick has had since coming to America is just being here to address the National Republican Women Federated. So thank you for having us. I have heard Nick speak more than probably anybody in the world, and every time that he speaks, I fall in love more with him, but I also fall more in love with this country. His message does not get old. I considered myself a good American before I met him, but I'm more in love with my country than ever before, and I'm convinced that after you hear him speak, you will be more in love with America than you ever have before. So instead of me just telling you about how much you're going to love him, I would please give a warm welcome to the stage to my Nick Adams.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A very, very, very warm welcome to each and every single one of you. What a pleasure it is to be in the land of the free and the home of the brave. In the world's exceptional nation, in civilization's indispensable country. And to top all of it off, if all of that weren't enough, in the great city of Philadelphia, the cradle of liberty. Our location and timing could not be more perfect. Philadelphia is a city rich in history and destitute in frivolity. And in just a few hours' time, we will celebrate National Constitution Day, a commemoration of the finest political document ever. A document that was written and signed barely half a mile away from where we proudly gather right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to share with you a story. And as I share with you this story, I invite you to momentarily close your eyes and really imagine what it is that I am describing. It's December of 1985. 2 parents are at their wits' end. Something is wrong with their 16-month-old child. For months, they've been to doctor after doctor, pediatrician after pediatrician, but nobody can tell them what is wrong. One night, with their child more unsettled than usual, they head to the local hospital to its emergency ward. The ward is almost deserted, but there is one overnight doctor there, a young man with a smiling face and an accent. As he looks the child over, his smile quickly evaporates. He tells the parents that he can't be sure, but he thinks that he's seen this before and that their child has a very rare form of childhood cancer. He prescribes a certain amount of tests to be conducted the very next morning. And indeed, the very next morning, the parents' worst fears would be confirmed. Their child had stage 4 neuroblastoma, a very rare form of childhood cancer. The parents were mine. The doctor was an American. The child was me. The cause of neuroblastoma remains unknown to this day, with only 1 in 100,000 children being diagnosed with it each year. Notoriously difficult to diagnose when it is, the tumour has almost always already metastasised. A child, an infant, a baby with stage 4 neuroblastoma is given just a 5% chance of life. Only 1 in 20 survive. For 3 years, I underwent chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and an operation. And through the healing hands of God, our master physician, I defied the odds and lived. The instincts of that American doctor, fresh out of college, just in Australia for a summer internship, proved crucial to my survival. So I haven't only studied American exceptionalism, I've lived it. In fact, I am alive because of it. Since that early adversity, I have been unstoppable. I was the valedictorian of my school. I was publicly elected to political office at the age of 19. 8 days after my 21st birthday, I became the youngest deputy mayor in Australian history in Sydney, a record that still stands to this day. The first election I ever voted in, I voted for myself. It's all been downhill since then. I was a best-selling author before I turned the age of 30. Now, having recently turned 33, I have spoken in 32 states. I am a Fox News commentator, and I am recognised worldwide as an authority on American exceptionalism. In fact, I have decided to dedicate my life to protecting, promoting, and perpetuating the American idea. And if all of that weren't enough, on the 29th of July, 2016, after 4.5 long, torturous and arduous years, and close to $50,000 later, I finally legally immigrated to the United States of America. I am an American. Thank you. So what is it that I believe in? I believe in God, personal responsibility, the sanctity of human life, a strong national defence, the right to bear arms. But up there with all of those things, ladies and gentlemen, I believe in the United States of America. And I want you to know something. I want you to know that despite the myriad of problems that undeniably and indisputably exist in America today, this is still, by far and away, easily, hands down, the greatest country in the history of the world. This is the best country in the world to be born in, the best country in the world to live in, the best country in the world to work in, the best country in the world to start a business in. Every single time I speak in front of an elementary school, a middle school, or a high school, I tell those students that the day that they were born in the United States of America is the day that they won the lottery of life. And they got the most incredible, the most amazing, the most sensational head start imaginable on anyone and everyone else. This is the only country in the world where you can blaze a trail and leave a legacy. This is the only country in the world where you can fall down 5,000 times, but if you've got the grit, the determination, and the hustle, you can get up 5,001. This is the only country in the world where success is not yet resented, where you are free to colour outside of the lines, where ambition is nurtured and risk is encouraged. You see, America is special because America is not just a country, not simply a stretch of land, not merely a geographic entity. America is an idea. It is an ideal. It is a notion, a value system. It is an improbable and daring experiment that remains just as improbable and daring today. It's the shot that was heard around the world and still is. It's the hope that banishes all hopelessness. There are 4 ways that a nation is said to be exceptional: culturally, militarily, economically, and scientifically. And on each of those 4 measurements, in almost 5,000 years of recorded human history, we have never before seen a country, a culture, or a people like the American nation, culture, or people. And we've done it with less than 5% of the world's population. Less than 5% of the world's population. But none of that success, ladies and gentlemen, none of that exceptionalism just happened. None of it was accidental. No, in fact, it was very deliberate. It was extraordinarily intentional. You see, the most prescient men to have ever walked this earth were our founders, who understood that the way to unleashing human ingenuity, the way to unlocking human creativity, the way to unraveling human genius was to make sure that men and women were as unencumbered as possible by the need for government approvals and red tape. It's the same reason that America has ascended to the position of guardian of liberty, as the custodian of civilization. I want you to contemplate, if you would, just for a fleeting moment, what the world might look like without the United States of America. North Korea would invade South Korea. Taiwan would be overrun by China. War, maybe nuclear, would break out in the Middle East. Islamic terrorists would act with complete impunity. Tyrants in North Africa would run around even more mercilessly than what they already do. Cataclysmic natural disasters would have no coordinated response. Individual liberty would gradually diminish and ultimately become extinct. The world would be covered in a cavernous-style darkness. And that's why it is in the interest of everyone, no matter who you are, where you come from, what bathroom you choose to use, what gender you want to identify with. It is in the interest of everyone to stand up and protect the United States of America, because what's good for America is good for the world. The world's fortunes travel with the United States of America. Even if you have never so much as even set your little toe on American soil, it's in your interest that America be a proud, confident, and self-assertive place. But ladies and gentlemen, political correctness is killing the United States of America. You see, most people think that political correctness is simply an imposition on speech. Just something that tells you what you can say and what you can't say. Well, that would be egregious enough with our proud tradition of the First Amendment. But I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, with regret rich in my voice, that political correctness is infinitely more than that. Political correctness is a way of life. It is a mentality. It is a cultural mindset. It's one that says that you should strive for mediocrity and not greatness, that you should care more about the affairs of other people than your own, that you shouldn't colour outside of the lines lest you be punished, that life and success should be about kissing butt rather than kicking it. What could be more un-American and anti-American than that? Political correctness strips us of our patriotism. It eliminates our self-confidence. It removes our individualism. Political correctness is turning the American dream into the European nightmare. You see, America is complex, but American exceptionalism is really, really simple. It's individualism, not collectivism. Patriotism, not relativism. God, not government. Faith, not secularism. It's about being bold, not being bland. It's about equality of opportunity, not equality of outcome. It's about e pluribus unum, not radical multiculturalism. These are the values that have differentiated America from every other place in the world. And yet proponents and advocates of political correctness would seek to eliminate every single one of those points of differentiation. Ladies and gentlemen, I came to the United States of America to make and not take, to give and not receive, to join the place and not change it. I came because there are possibilities and opportunities here possible nowhere else. I came because this is the greatest country in the history of the world. And I came because this is the only place left. I came because this here is freedom's Colosseum. That's why I started up an organization called FLAG, the Foundation for Liberty and American Greatness. And we are one of the fastest growing nonprofits in America today. In just 1 year, we've reached more than 4,000 students. We've been into 8 different states. We've been into 35 public schools, bringing a message of patriotism. FLAG goes to schools and talks about what makes America special, what makes America different, why is the Constitution the best political document ever written, what would the world look like without the United States of America, what would the world be like today had it not been for American leadership in the 20th century, what all has the United States given the world, why has it been an unparalleled force for good. In doing so, ladies and gentlemen, we seek to counter the army of anti-American activists masquerading as teachers, deliberately and recklessly trying to raise a generation of Americans to be at best ambivalent, if not worse, overtly and outwardly hostile. I'm often asked what I believe the greatest threat to America to be. And there's many ways I could answer that question, but this is the conclusion I always offer. For several generations now, we have not passed on what it means to be an American. We have not taught Americanism, the moral dimension, the limited government dimension. And as a result, we have generations now of Americans that don't have the faintest or foggiest idea of what being an American is. And that's why we need to fight this culture war from the inside. We need to go into those classrooms. We need to train teachers. We need to speak to students. I don't want our students just ambivalent about the United States. I want them burning for America. I want them to understand that this is the least racist, multiracial country in the world. I want them to understand that this is the greatest place to be, that you can do anything, that personality has yet to be downsized. But all of that, ladies and gentlemen, is tethered to our founding documents. And one of the greatest tragedies of modern time is that our children of today, the next generation of American leaders, don't even have a working knowledge of our founding documents. And as I went in to 35 public schools over the last 12 months, the feedback that I received was that students liked the Constitution, but they were turned off by the old English language. So we decided to meet that need. We worked with interns from the late Justice Antonin Scalia's office, and we produced the world's first kid-friendly constitution that will be launched on Monday at Fox News with a 3-hour live event. I want our children to be tethered and anchored by the virtues and values contained within our founding documents, because only then will American success and prosperity and exceptionalism be guaranteed. And we want to get this Constitution into the hands of every single age-appropriate student across the United States of America. But we need your help. We want to partner with Republican women's groups right across this country to get these constitutions into the hands of students. We are on track to have 50,000 constitutions out by the end of this fall, 100,000 out by the end of next spring, and by summer of next year, more than 3,000 classrooms across America will have at least one FLAG curriculum material. We are growing at a rate that is exponential. We are training up 500 college-age students to go and become FLAG ambassadors. We put them through Flagship Academy, we train them up, and we send them out to go and deliver our presentations at schools right across this country. On my flag board, I've assembled some of the best people you can imagine. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, Dennis Prager, Pete Hegseth, John Sullivan, and many, many, many more. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to close with this. I want you to know that recently America turned 241 years old. It was a time for great celebration, as it is every year when America celebrates her birthday. But I would also submit to you, it is a time for sober and somber contemplation. Because if you go and ask any historian worth their salt how long great nations tend to last, they will tell you somewhere between 230 and 270 years. That puts America right in the kill zone. And for the very first time, America's enemies are no longer only foreign, they are also domestic. And so the fight, the war, the battle, the struggle that we are going to have to pursue is going to be worse than anything that we have been through before. But I am unswervingly convinced that we are going to do it. I have been a student of American history all of my life, and it's never a good idea to bet against America. From the early defeats by Britain in the War of Independence, to the loss of the Philippines, to Pearl Harbor, to the days following September 11, every single time freedom has been under attack and had its back shoved up against a corner wall in a room, America has emerged bigger and stronger and better than ever before. And so it will again. Sir Winston Churchill, the greatest figure of the 20th century and the wartime Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, once affectionately jibed that America always does the right thing after exhausting every other option. Alexis de Tocqueville, the famous French philosopher who came out here in the 19th century, also observed that the true genius of Americans lay in their ability to repair their faults. And perhaps it's just something that an outsider can see. But I want you to know that this is the most patriotic, optimistic, individualistic, energetic, dynamic country in the world. We can do anything. We are exceptional. We have proved it time and time and time again. But we have to fight this culture war because everything is on the line. Our country, our civilization, our Christianity, our constitution. Every single one of those things is on the line. So let's go out there and do it. And let's do it by reaching the hearts and minds of the next generation of Americans. Let's reach the hearts and minds of every single student in the United States of America. Let's go and do it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you. God bless Philadelphia. And God bless the United States of America. Thank you. Come see us at our booth.